motorcycling. All right, we're live with WGON Live Traffic Report, and we think we finally got this dual video thing nailed down. So we thought we'd give it a crack and also take a shot at the dual video and do an announcement as well for a video we're going to do this Saturday. What do you think about that, Matt?
Well, I think it's going to be pretty neat. I know a couple weeks ago we tried the dual Facebook Live, only to realize after the broadcast started that Facebook removed that option. And to our surprise, it was me for about an hour kind of hanging out with everybody. But this is pretty neat. This is a service that I was introduced to when I was doing a Sunday night Facebook Live event with George Romero's son, George Cameron Romero. And we realized this is a little kind of like a broadcast studio where up to 6 people can be actually on this video at any time. And we can cycle people through and kind of just have a dialogue going, a chat, and just kind of a place to hang out for a little bit. And, you know, this is going to be something new. I think we're going to try to do this every once in a while and just keep things going. You know, we're quarantined, and
Yeah.
you know, every one of us has had a convention or two already canceled, and the schedule's not looking too good for the next month or so. And why not? We're knee deep into the next couple of episodes that we've already got in the bag or planned out. So this is kind of like a supplemental material bit for WGON Radio, just to kind of keep people engaged and find out what's going on in the world of Romero and what people want to see and what they're excited for.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned, a lot of the cancellations, and we're awfully worried about the Living Dead weekend. And they're normal folks like you and I. They're not, millionaires. So it's this is if they have to cancel or push this event back, it's going to be a huge financial hit. So just while it's on my mind, like this hat I'm wearing, I actually used to have it on the shelf, but I've broken it out recently, and I want to get a backup. But this hat that I'm wearing can be purchased through the Living Dead Museum's online store. You can get over there and support those guys right now, because they make a lot of their money off of conventions, and those aren't going on right now. And maybe their convention, I really hope it happens, but even that one may not happen as well. So yeah, I plan on, there's a little 3-pack they've got. It's this hat, and then it's a couple of the pins, like a WGON pin and the Monroeville Mall logo pin, all 3 of them together for $30. I think I'm going to pick that up and yeah, keep this as my wearable BNP trucking hat and put one on the shelf. But get over there and support Living Dead weekend and Living Dead Museum.
Yeah, I know we're all hoping and praying that this virus starts to subside with enough time for us to actually come out of our house, get back to what we consider a normal life, and work picks back up, normal activities pick up. And if we have to wait until June to start seeing people and getting out and having a good time, I guess we're gonna have to wait. But yeah, Kevin and those guys, we're really hoping that the show will go on. We know that Steel City Con moved their show from April to the same weekend. So you're going to have a great opportunity to do 2 shows in the same weekend. And I think they will be mutually beneficial for each other. And it's one of those weird things where that happened a couple years ago, where the Living Dead weekend in 2018 was at the Steel City Con convention center at the same time that they were having their show, and it was pretty neat. It was a good tended show. I do enjoy the fact that the Living Dead weekend in June is in the mall. We walk into the mall at 9 or 10 in the morning, and we leave at midnight or later. I mean, you can't really beat that for a weekend for a bunch of us George Romero fans. But
or later.
Yeah, or way later. That was a long night. But yeah, no, this is gonna be pretty neat. I'm glad that 2020 is hopefully going to be the year that we really pick up the show, and our plan is, and I think we talk about this in the episode that we just dropped. We're going to try to do at least 2 shows a month, plus a supplemental material piece like this, especially just because we have the time, and there's a lot of stuff coming out with the second site release of Dawn and Martin and whatnot. But yeah, Eric, you just dropped episode 12 last night on us. Tell us a little bit about what we got in that episode.
Well, yeah, we do a little bit of catch up because we haven't done an episode. We haven't dropped an episode since last November. And even that episode the material was about a month old. So we kind of catch up on everything that we've been up to since then. Some Romero items that we picked up in the last 4 or 5 months. And we also get back on board with Dawn of the Dead Minute with minute number 2. And it's amazing. I mean, we even talk on the episode about maybe, editing together a composite episode at the end of all this, of all the minutes together, which, I mean, I think I was exaggerating and saying 15 hours, but it's going to be more like 100 hours, and that's a legit estimation. If you think we're about 2 minutes deep so far, about 45 minutes a pop, and there's bound to be some more eventful minutes coming up. So
yeah, good thing we're not doing the extended mall cut that you can find on YouTube, because I think the Dawn of the Dead Minute would just end up taking over WGON Radio, and I think that's something we wouldn't mind. But obviously, we're building a little bit of an audience with all the all-encompassing Romero portion of the podcast. But the Dawn of the Dead Minute, it's sort of self-serving for both of us, but it is pretty neat that we hope people go back and oh, I never noticed that guy in the green shirt in the back, and who was he? Oh, he was that guy. What? I never watched that before. And really try to really get people engaged with Dawn 40 some years after it's been released. But yeah, episode 12, that was fun. It was fun to get back on that horse, just because it'd been 4 or 5 months, just because your life was busy, my life was busy, and we were like, oh, let's go, let's do it. And we had a couple of false starts almost there. We were going to try to do something, I think, in January and February, and finally at the end of March we were able to, all right, let's do this. And I think we've talked more in the last 10 days than we did in the previous 2 or 3 months, and it's been kind of fun and refreshing.
Yeah, no, we're definitely back on board. Got a couple of live videos in our back pocket. Lyle Moyer's watching. Want to give a shout out to friend of the show, Lyle. Hope to see you
Lyle
in June. If not, we'll certainly see you whenever this thing ends up happening. But hopefully the June date holds. So thanks for watching. And as you were saying, talking about the Dawn of the Dead Minute, I had an idea. I think the YouTube limit for a video is like 10 hours, something like that.
It's a weird number, but it's pretty long.
I was thinking, like legit 100 hours at the end of this Dawn of the Dead Minute thing. So maybe, we could put it on all together, not all together in one video, obviously in 10-hour segments, and just, do the still shots as we're talking about each little point. I doubt, it's so obscure and oddball. I doubt Rubenstein could, do.
No,
Rubenstein could appreciate what we're doing.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to mind. It's not like we're making money off of it or anything, but it'll be interesting to see when this all comes together and we start getting into some of those scenes where the big montages, and there's a lot going on. I mean, we're still in the WGON studio in minute 2. We haven't even gotten to the introduction of any one of the main characters outside of Fran, and it'll be interesting when we get to those big, all-encompassing, zombie-filled scenes, and when you start to get into some of the bloopers that we know, and it'll be interesting to find out if
I
we've
already
seen
know there's a minute out there that's going to be a 2-hour minute. I already know it. Hey, Will is watching. He says he's going to start his own podcast, working on his own podcast, and he wonders if we will be on it. And I'm sure we will, depending on what the subject matter is.
Yeah, if it's a Dawn of the Dead 04 podcast, just sign me up for every episode. I've been dying to talk about that for about 16 years. So hopefully Will is doing what we're doing, except with the remake. I really, really hope Will. Now, I think Will said something to me about it before. I told him I'm game. So whatever he's got planned, I'm sure I definitely will enjoy being involved with that.
You don't know what it's about, though. You everything.
You know what? I don't remember. I think he did tell me, but I just tonight, like in the last 45 minutes, I've gotten a dozen texts from different people just about random stuff, and I'm trying to keep up with all my messages. Wednesday night activity seems to be pretty hot. I think people are becoming night owls because everyone that is
sleeping in.
Yeah, everyone's sleeping in now. They're up late like me. I was up till 1 o'clock this morning, and I went to bed. And as soon as I went to bed, it started to storm. So I was up for another hour and a half till I could fall asleep, and then getting back up to go to work because I'm considered essential. I was dragging a little bit today. I was about 2 o'clock. I was ready to clock out and come home and take a nap. And yeah, that didn't happen.
Will says the podcast is about random stuff, just weird culture. So whatever you guys want to talk about. Will, you want to come on the video? You in a position to do that? Just
are you wearing pants?
Yes, you have pants on and not even Dawn of the Dead. Right, let me see.
I'm sure I'm sure I could find any topic to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm down for any kind of any kind of pop culture topic. Romero, wrestling. I know Will's. I mean, I'm a wrestling mark. I think I'll leave it to the two of you to decide who's the bigger of the two. But
I think Will might be the bigger mark, but I guess it depends on the era and who you're talking about. Because I could, I don't have a lot of knowledge from say 2004 to 2010. I really wasn't into wrestling. I didn't really watch it. Just kind of.
Me either.
Just kind of petered out for me after the Attitude Era, and I got out of college and all that stuff, and just kind of randomly picked it back up when my son was 2 or 3, and he caught me watching it one night, and he was hooked. And the funny part is he doesn't really watch it, but my daughter's super into it, and she's really having a hard time calling John Moxley. He's Dean Ambrose. No, he's John Moxley. No, he's Dean Ambrose. Now she's 9. Now she knows, he's in AEW. She knows his name is John Moxley, but she just likes to call him Dean Ambrose. I think because I like to be a little bit stricter on calling him what his name actually is. I think she does it to get under my skin a little bit, but.
Well, it's kind of like when you were a kid and you saw Corvette Summer with Luke Skywalker for the first time. You're like, what the shit is this? It's Luke Skywalker with Annie Potts. Hey, Will, I just sent you I sent you a link to your Facebook Messenger. Hop in there and click on it if you want to jump in here. So it's interesting with this thing. We can, through this apparatus, we can see the chats, but it does not distinguish who is who. It just says Facebook user. So I'm kind of peeking at the feed on the phone.
I saw that. I wonder if it was on my end because I wasn't logged in. I'm sure. And guys, anyone watching this now or coming to the website, we're still kind of figuring some of the mechanics of this out. Our ideas sometimes get ahead of us and we kind of back into it. He didn't get the link. Eric, you popped up. Your name popped up on my end. And then
what you mean?
I saw your name. Everyone else's Facebook user, and then it says Eric Kent on the live comments.
Yeah, I'm on the phone, so I can see who is saying what. But I'm not gonna. This it's weird. Mark Anthony Curzon says, "Hey guys, it's 5 a.m. in the UK." So hey,
I was wondering who that was.
Maybe 11:30 midnight is okay for our friends overseas. They can, just set the alarm, get up a little early. I mean, everybody's stuck at home.
Yeah, we're getting a couple people joining in, so it's pretty neat. This is just kind of impromptu. We figured we were going to come on and just kind of BS for a couple minutes. If you don't see at the bottom the news ticker at the bottom, live show this Saturday, April 11th, a little bit more of a structure. If guys want to come on and chat and say hi, I know we only get to see each other in person once or twice a year, and we always talk on Facebook or text or whatnot, and just be kind of cool. So anyone that comes in on Saturday and wants to pop on the video, we'll send you the link.
I'm waiting in the green WGON green room is Mr. Willis right now. I'm gonna let him fix his hair. He looks okay. I think he's out of makeup, and there he is.
There he is.
What's going on, guys?
Hey,
this is my hair. This is what happens when you get. This is what happens when you get furloughed, and you are waiting for unemployment. You just kind of don't care. You've given up.
Yeah, so I'm telling you, this is my essential worker hair. I have to do my hair every day, and I'll tell you what, it's been a bitch. Thinking about just cutting it all off.
You should. So what I was saying, it's in the infancy. Me and my friend Brittany. I think she's a fan of the Dawn group, but she went to all the Romero Lives events, and she's into video production. And we started talking with this other gentleman, David Fairhead, who runs like a podcast network. And he's like, would you ever want to do a podcast? And he like gave me the ins and outs of what I should do. So we recorded a couple episodes. So we're still getting our feet wet, but I think it'd be cool to have you guys on to do we could do like a watch along or talk about, I don't know. I want to talk about Dark Side of the Ring, or I want to talk about like pop culture stuff, not necessarily Dawn of the Dead, just kind of have our own like flair to it,
Yeah. Well, we're 2 years into WGON and we're still getting our feet wet, so don't worry. It takes a little while.
Yeah.
The more you do it, the easier it gets, and we'll be a little bit more consistent. But yeah, I mean, pop culture stuff is great because we've all been big nerds for most of our lives, and now it's totally acceptable to be a nerd and be into wrestling and Star Wars and movies and all that kind of shit. And
it's not acceptable to be into Star Wars. I don't know who told you that.
Eric, can you kick him out?
No, I'm joking.
I know.
Let me see.
So it's just kind of a mishmash of pop culture, whatever. I mean, if you honestly, you don't even have to pregame a topic with me. If you just want to say, come on, I'm sure if we just start bullshitting, we'll hit stop on the record button 3 hours later. So
yeah, well, I think we could come on, and Brittany's cool because she does video production, so she has a different perspective. She loves all this stuff, but she talks about more of the technical aspects, and so she likes to talk about that kind of stuff, or like showing her stuff she's never seen. So I thought it'd be cool to have like maybe the four of us. I don't know. I don't think 4 people's too many. Maybe 3 or 4 of us just kind of get together and just kind of, just have like the Talk is Jericho thing where we just kind of spitball on ideas for like an hour or something. I think it'd be fun to have the 4 of us get together and do it.
Yeah, you never know where the conversation's going to lead. Having 4 people, you get a lot of different perspectives, and someone might not like something and someone else will really love something. You never know what kind of spirited conversations you're going to get depending on the topic.
Are you talking about the Jericho podcast with the Anderson and the tag team? What are those called?
Gallows and Anderson.
Yeah, where everybody just interrupts each other, and it's just fun.
Did you? It's probably the last one they did. It was because he has been out of WWE for a while, but it was the one where they actually called Carlos Colon and one of them was doing like the imitation of Rip Tile, and Carlos was like, send me a tape, maybe we'll book him.
No, I didn't. I don't listen to that one.
It's like, I'm Rip Tile.
What did you guys think of WrestleMania? Well, you said you didn't watch it, Eric, right?
No, but I did listen to Corny's play-by-play today.
Mark.
Oh, I didn't hear him riff on it. What was his riff on the whole thing?
He seemed he's not down with the no crowd thing, but he's actually overly, pretty much positive on it.
Give it to Cornette to be against something that's out of everybody's control that just happens to be his. He wouldn't be corny if he didn't have some sort of anger issue about something no one else really does. I mean,
but I didn't even watch it, but you can think about some things like Goldberg kind of needs a crowd. You know what I mean?
I was listening to 83 Weeks today because Conrad and Eric were recapping WrestleMania, and Eric had a lot of good feedback, and one of the biggest things was due to the lack of crowd, you could really hear the trash talking, and really see these guys perform very differently. But there was a lot of times there were spots, and a lot of the heels who can really react off of crowd heat didn't have it. So like the Baron Corbin Elias match didn't have the heat that it should have.
No. What did you think, how did you feel about the Randy Orton Edge match? I thought it went on way too long. I thought
yeah. No, I was just about to agree with you on that. I felt that the announcers fell asleep about 15 minutes into it.
They killed it. They killed it for me because I was like, okay, this is kind of exciting. And then they did the whole controversial spot with the gym equipment that everybody's like, oh, that's a callback to
like Benoit.
Yeah. Which, they didn't do that on purpose, but it's like, but they should have known better, I suppose.
Yeah, it went on about 10 minutes too long. And the only thing I don't like about last man standing matches or no holds barred matches is that they feel they have to use the arena. I didn't feel that it had to go into the back that long, because if you're going to do that, you might as well just start the match back there, and instead of them starting it in the ring, and because you knew it was going there, you knew they were going to use every square foot of that performance center.
They should have done something more like what would have been cool would have been like a Texas death match where they pinned them and then had to get back to the ring, because that would at least added some urgency, some kind of stake to where instead of them just bouncing each other's heads off things for 35 minutes, I think if they would have made it like a Texas death match, it would have been a lot cooler as far as getting back, rushing to get back to the ring or tie somebody up in the weight equipment, call back to Crush
and Macho Man.
Not the best match, but Crush and Macho Man at WrestleMania 10.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. It would have been neat if they would have brawled and beat the shit out of each other in that ring for 20 minutes rather than just go everywhere. Because I mean, the cool spot of Edge crawling on the ceiling and dropping the elbow was cool, but they just spent way too much time on top of that tractor trailer. It just felt that you knew spots like that were coming, and it turned into a little bit of a spot fest, and it was lackluster for what I really wanted. But I mean, again, I got what I got. I really can't complain.
What was your match of the night, Eric? You got to go back and watch WrestleMania, or at least watch. Did you watch the?
Yeah, I will. I just don't have the network right now.
Oh well, hit me up off of camera, and we'll take care of that.
For an official screener.
My match of the night, Owens and Rollins was really good.
Surprisingly good.
I think Owens carried that match more than anything. The Boneyard match was great for the interactions between AJ and The Undertaker. I felt that the trash talk they had really made that match stand out, because it could have been, it was cheesy, borderline hokey.
Yeah, it was hokey. It was very not even surreal. It was just what am I watching? But when you take it all in for what it is, it was highly entertaining. And I don't know if it was obviously maybe due to them not having any fans, but I imagine that's what they were going to do to begin with. So maybe they were allowed to go a little further since they knew.
Yeah, I was wondering if they were going to do that live, but I think the way Vince saw it, and that's probably my only criticism of it, is I think Vince is going to take this as, look what I did with these two matches. I'm going to do more of them, and he'll see that as entertainment. And I don't tune into WWE for Boneyard or Funhouse matches. I think what's going to happen is you're going to get the law of diminishing returns.
I agree, but maybe if they keep it within the realm of Bray Wyatt or Undertaker and not do it every 3 months, or I would like to see a hybrid match. We saw, spoiler alert, Bray Wyatt, get his win back from WrestleMania 30. Maybe if they did something like that with Bray Wyatt and the Undertaker, where they combined the Firefly and the Boneyard match. I don't know how they would do that, but I think that's the next logical step if you put those two together.
Yeah, I think those are the only two guys that could carry that type of cinematic match. But I think the only saving grace with that type of match is it's going to work for the Undertaker at this point in his career, because he can't handle a fast-paced match with someone like a Roman Reigns right now. And I think AJ really brought it to Taker, and I think he brought it through the trash talk and just bringing that aspect, which if it would have been anyone where there wasn't any talking, I don't think it would have been as enjoyable.
No, I agree completely. Sorry, I'm moving around. Everybody has something cool behind them right now, so I have to readjust.
Hey, Will, I wanted to ask you, do you know someone that's involved with the Tom Savini Smoke and Mirrors documentary that was released on Shudder a couple months back?
I'm good friends, as Matt is, I believe, with Jason Baker.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one who directed it. He took 3 years. Actually, I think it was like 5 years when it was all said and done, putting it all together. But yeah, he's actually also involved. He was involved with the Funhouse match as well. Spoiler alert, it was his idea he said they had the idea of doing John Cena coming out as Hulk Hogan and Bray Wyatt being Eric Bischoff. But they were just going to have Cena go out regular. And Jason told me, he said, well, we were right next to the warehouse, and I guess he stopped him. He said, well, grab the NWO belt. It's got to be over there. So they weren't going to do it initially. And so it was Jason's idea for them to grab the NWO belt and have him play the guitar like Hogan did when he came out. So I thought that was a cool little touch.
That was my favorite part of the match, considering I'm a big, Hulk Hogan mark and NWO. I was like, yeah, that was my favorite part of the match.
Oh, I agree. That was the best part of the match completely. And they are canon now, both NWO members, because once you're NWO, you're NWO for life.
For life. That's right.
I didn't come on to hijack your show. I just wanted to say hello, but I appreciate you having me on. This is super fun.
Yeah.
No, it's fun. We want to test the technology and the capabilities. I mean, the three-way camera looks great. I guess with the four-way would go into kind of the the four corner.
Yeah, it put
GoldenEye
three. I think it does three vision across. Yeah,
right.
I was watching one of the feeds that George's son had done, and all six people were they had their own blocks, three on each side, and it looked looked pretty good.
Can we get the Brady Bunch? Can we get 6 people in here and just have
I think so.
And look up at each other and
here we go. Here's a variation.
Oh, there you go.
We got more air. Okay, there, like that. I'll switching it up here. Nice.
Yeah, we were playing around with this the other night, just trying to figure it out and have a good time with it.
So Jason was the director and the
Jason
producer.
was part of. He helped. Yeah, he was on, and his wife Mandy Baker. She did the puppet for Ramblin' Rabbit, and she did some of the other stuff. So they both worked on the production. Actually, as it was streaming, he he Zeused me or whatever. Like he video called me and he's like, "Do you want to watch this together?" I'm like, "Absolutely." So I got to watch it. He's like, "Yeah, we did this," and so he's like narrating it as it's going on. He's like, "Oh, watch this spot," and I'm like, "Oh, that's super cool." So
That's awesome.
It was kind of cool. It was kind of cool to live stream it with him. Yeah,
maybe you think he'd be down for something like this for
maybe
like a video?
Yeah, he's always down for stuff. I was gonna talk to him about having him on my show, but you guys should totally do it because he works with Savini. He did Smoke and Mirrors, so it would be cool. I'm sure he would be down. I can reach out to him or give you his contact. So.
All right. Yeah. Well, you take care of yourself first. But like, why don't you do them on your podcast, and we'll bring them on like on a WGON live traffic report.
Yeah, there's plenty to go around, man. Everybody's producing content. I just kind of want to I want to be more laissez-faire, there's people like you guys report on, I mean, not to pigeonhole you guys do everything, but you're based in Dawn of the Dead and Romero stuff. I just kind of want to bring interesting people on and be like, well, yes, you're from this area, but you liked it. Like, for example, Matt, he's known for Blair Witch and Romero stuff, but he likes pro wrestling. So it would be cool to have a podcast where Matt and I talk about pro wrestling, you know what I'm saying? Or, it doesn't have to be, shoehorned into Dawn of the Dead. Of course, I love Dawn of the Dead. So.
But, Eric, did you watch AEW tonight? Because when we were talking earlier, AEW was still on. I was wondering if you were waiting for that to be over. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was editing it, and I knew we could do this. You would be in the clear as soon as it was over.
I have not seen the recent AEW. What were your non-spoiler thoughts?
Again, not a bad show. A couple really good matches. Matt Hardy did a pretty good promo again tonight. He's been killing it the last couple of weeks that he's been on, and Jericho was on commentary all night, so that was actually pretty good.
Jericho's amazing. He was doing he does Saturday night special live stream, and he was streaming during, he didn't even know WrestleMania was 2 nights. It was hilarious because he was streaming and people were like, WrestleMania is going on. He's like, tonight? Like he had it was pretty fun. But the Jericho was cool. We had him at Steel City Con before, and he was very down to earth. He was just jamming. He had this phone and he was just jamming Slayer and shit. And I was like calling out the songs. He's like, yeah. And he and I hit it off pretty well. I have a selfie somewhere it's like the weirdest selfie. We were just walking through like the backstage area, and it was like me, Jericho, and then Abraham from The Walking Dead. So that's the picture I have of Jericho. I don't know even where it's at. He's like, oh, dude, can we get in the picture? And I was like, I'll take a picture of you guys. They're like, no, hop in here. So I was like, Abraham, Jericho, and myself. It's like 2 burly dudes, and then just like me in the middle. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I love Jericho in dad bod mode though. I mean, I'm not picking on him, but he clearly he's going like Greg. I think he's doing it on purpose. I think he's not like because he's been like 2 years ago, he was like in the best shape of his life, but I think he's going for like old school heel where it's just like they're out of shape. But like Greg Valentine comes to mind. He was like the most out of shape looking guy, but he could beat the shit out of anybody.
Yeah, he was a tough son of a bitch. And I notice a lot of people say that every week when Jericho comes on, they're tagging him online to get him start up DDP yoga again. And there was a clip I saw of him a couple weeks ago, and it was from WWE like 2-3 years ago, and I was like, damn, he was ripped. And I was like,
when he came back, I was just watching his match with I guess it's a while ago now, but with CM Punk, a very underrated match where they wrestled for the title at WrestleMania 28, I believe it was, and it was just phenomenal. But he had like 6-pack abs. He was completely ripped. So it's like, I think it's a choice. I think he's just like, I'm not going to kill myself working out, and being an out of shape heel is like gets you even more heat. I miss the out of shape guys. I love not out of shape because shit, he could run circles around me, but physically looking like dad bod looking. I like that look.
What happened to his chest though? Something happened there that disfigured his frontal torso area, and he was never right. Something similar to the thing Kofi Kingston's got going on. Something happened there.
Oh, where he has like a concave chest.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't always like that. It's like the structure, like he tore something or something changed. right before he returned to WWE like that last time.
I don't know. Maybe he tore his pec. I know when guys tear their pecs, their chest never quite looks the same. But I don't know. John Cena looks fucking still like a brick shit house, even at how fucking old he is.
He's got nerve damage to the middle of his chest, preventing his pecs from popping. So yeah, kind of similar. I just went to a quick Google search. Looks like a couple years ago. So yeah, it looks like some nerve damage.
It's insane. Did you guys see the Dark Side of the Ring for the Brawl for All yet?
No, yes. I haven't watched that one yet. I just saw it pop up on YouTube. I was on today and I forgot it was out, so I'll probably watch it tomorrow on my lunch break.
Don't spoil. I guess we can't spoil it for Matt, but Eric, what did you think?
It's good. Better than I thought it would be. It's at first it kind of sounded like maybe just a filler episode, kind of like the Montreal season, but it turned out to be pretty good. There's some good interview. I like that they had Godfather on there. I wish that they had gotten. It really could have used Bradshaw big time.
I'm sure Bradshaw. I'm sure they asked Bradshaw and he told him to screw off.
Not his best hour.
Yeah, it was completely designed to make him look like a chump, and successfully did. But
I don't know. Yeah, that guy was pretty damn tough. I mean, no shame in getting clocked by that dude.
I would not want to get hit by him, but my favorite story of Bradshaw was he was picking on Joey Styles, and he just kept picking on him and like pushing him, and then they were backstage, and he just said something cross to him, and Joey Styles, by everyone's account that was there, like threw a right cross and knocked him out with like one punch. Like he knocked out Joey Styles, knocked out Bradshaw. Yes, Google it. Like it's a known story amongst the wrestlers that Joey Styles
so damn tiny.
It doesn't matter, man. I mean, I think that
spot.
Conor McGregor's tiny, but he would whip all of us. Maybe, I don't know. Probably.
Not together, he wouldn't.
Not together. We could team it. We could hold him down. Matt, so what are your plans for your show, your Blair Witch show? I haven't heard anything.
I was just talking to a couple of people. I normally announce the Blair Witch Experience around this time, but who knows what August, September, October are going to be like. You know, if stuff doesn't happen in the spring or summer, you know, most people already have a jam-packed September, October, and I'm just kind of waiting it out. You know, I'm going to try to hopefully get something up by June. I would hate to have an off year because I had a kick-ass big event last year, but I don't know. I have a feeling, you know, I don't want to step on toes of too many shows. You know, if someone has to, you know, because Monster Mania was normally the first weekend in October. Well, last year he moved it to the third weekend in October. And then any other shows are going to, you know, Chiller, you know, Living Dead weekend, all that kind of stuff's just going to jam pack into October, especially if they're missing shows in the spring and summer.
And I'm sure Romero Lives will do another big thing in October as well.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to figure out what I want to do. You know, people love it. You know, I got a bus last year, and I got 2 buses last year. I won't do 2 buses again. I'll do 1. Keep it limited. You know, I don't expect to get 50 people a year. You know, I get 25, 30 people and get a bus. You know, it won't be so packed. People can hang out and not be so crowded and cramped. But yeah, I'm just kind of playing a wait and see game. I hate doing it. It's causing me a little bit of anxiety when I think about it. So I don't know.
Well, I didn't mean to give you anxiety. I apologize. But
I think about it every day because I'm just thinking, yeah, I have about 6 months, and you know, no one's really asked me about it, which kind of makes me think that everything else going on in the world is taking precedence, and I just don't want to add to something and then have to cancel it or whatnot.
What really sucks is there's people like myself. I'm all right now, but waiting on unemployment that don't know if we're going back to our jobs. I recently stepped down from Living Dead Weekend, but I work Steel City Con, and that we ended up having. I didn't move it; I just work for them, but it's on the same weekend, and it's not because we want to compete with them. It's just because that's the only weekend the convention center was available. So it's now we're having it on the same weekend, but I think that could be a good thing if people go to both. So maybe they'll get a little more exposure from us, and we'll get a little more exposure from them. Hopefully, there's some crossover there, is what I'm hoping.
Well, how are you feeling about that June date from a Steel City Con perspective? You're feeling pretty. I mean, I don't know what's the word right now. I guess is what I'm asking.
We're moving forward. I talk to Bob and Denise pretty regularly, and we're moving forward. We're until we hear otherwise. That's all we can do, and that's all any show can do. And there was some, sometimes we catch criticism, but it's a business, and we can't stop living, and we can't live in fear forever. So it's. I don't make those calls. They make the calls, and I help propagate them. So I help. I'm logistics. So they're like, here's the box. Here's what we need to happen. Here's what can you do to help us make this happen, or here's what we need you to do help us make it happen. So I think it's better to have moved it early and let everybody know, and then hopefully we can get out of the house by May 1st or at latest end of May. And I think a lot of people are gonna want to go out and do something, but my fear is the negative impact of the economy. It's like, will people have money to do things?
Yeah, we were talking about that just last week, and it concerns us because Bob and Denise and Kevin and those guys, they sink a lot of money and hope to make enough to keep the show running, and that was my exact concern. Is you go back to work, but you're a month or two behind. You don't have that money, and if you still put on a show and no one comes, that's bad for the show. It's worse than canceling it in the hopes that people would make it.
Luckily for Steel City, and I can't speak to Living Dead Weekend, but luckily for Steel City, we did pre-sell a lot of tickets in April, and those tickets will just roll over to the next show, so June. But so I think the people will show up. And most of our guests, Robert England's still coming. Most of our guests have agreed to come in June. So I'm hoping like hell. I'm praying like hell we get out of this, because I want everybody to come. I want everybody to have a good time. This sucks, and it'll be one of the first mass gatherings here in Pittsburgh once we get released.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I get the severity in this, like the seriousness of the COVID-19, but I just hope we get through it. Originally we were told the next 2 weeks, well, this week and next week were going to be the high point, but now there's getting reports of people getting reinfected in China, and there's so much misinformation out there. It's like, it's a real wait and see, and it's kind of scary.
Yeah. I'm afraid that we're going to get out and it's going to flare back up again. And that's like you said, there's a lot of misinformation. People are getting antsy. I work for a financial institution, and I can tell over the last week, some of my account holders, you could just tell the outside world and what they have to do in their life now is just kind of affecting them. When it was a week or two, it's like, oh yeah, we'll make it through this. And now they're starting to revamp their thinking. And I'm thinking at least 2 more months, this month and next month at a minimum. And, if June 1st rolls around and we get let out, it's not going to be business as normal on that day one. All the businesses that are going to reopen, something stupid. I haven't gotten comic books in 3 weeks because Diamond is not shipping comics from their warehouses.
Yeah, Diamond is in financial ruin. I would just watch something or read something on them to where Diamond might fold, and like who's going to, which is a bittersweet pill for a lot of my friends are comic dealers and own comic shops, and they hate dealing with Diamond, but also Diamond's the only game in town. So who's going to step up and do comics distribution and toy distribution when they're gone? So I don't know. Could a little company rise out of the ashes and say, well, here's how we're going to do it. We're no longer going to, because I have friends that, my one friend, Paul, he runs Geekodrome here in Pittsburgh. He's just a little shop, and I just get a few books from it. I haven't been able to get books because, food and rent and things like that are more important right now. But I pick up like 3 or 4 books from him a month, and he just orders, enough to sustain and gets by on gaming and stuff. But he can't adhere a lot to like the Diamond regulations of, well, if you want this variant cover, you need to order 500 copies. And that's my gripe with Diamond, is they're kind of a monopoly. I mean, they are a monopoly. It is what it is.
That also comes from the publishers as well. Marvel's going to put that variant out. They're only going to put X number of variants out, and you'll get Mile High Comics that'll order 5,000 copies or whatever it is. And, in the comic store I go to, I also get guitar lessons from him. He's been teaching guitar for 30 years, and I'm doing my guitar lessons on FaceTime now. And, we talk every week, and he also works for the post office, so he sees it from both ends. Yeah. And there's not a lot of optimism for any business owner at this point. And I feel really bad for him, because I'm trying to help with some of those small business loans that are coming out, and just the anxiety and the panic that people have to get their people money so that, they can bring them into work and that they can still, keep their business open. It's so weird to think that, an illness that's been around for a month has really set things back 6-8 months, if not a year or more, to level back out and for us to not feel the effects.
Yeah. Eric, are you still working?
Yeah, I've been home for 3 weeks now, so I'm in a writing gig right now, so it worked out perfectly. So it's monetarily everything has been no real disruption other than having to stay locked down. So yeah, I mean, things could be way worse. Have the kids here I think it's at least until April 28th now. So
yeah,
I mean,
PA suspended schools indefinitely.
Yeah, I feel for you guys. I mean, you guys are still employed, which is nice, but it's like having the kids around, and they're getting raw. I don't know how. I know your kids are still middle school age, right? Both of yours, or grade school and middle school.
I got one middle and one elementary yet.
Yeah, but I can't imagine these. Can you imagine this being your senior year, or like having to do your SATs or go to pro? Like, these kids are just. Yes. That sucks. I know on top. I mean, that's a real minuscule thing to think about, but their lives are forever ruined. Not ruined. You know what I'm saying? Like, affected.
I think about my son. He's in 7th grade. I mean, 7th grade for me was huge. Like, Guns N' Roses and shit was out, man. There was girls. I mean, I'd have been crushed, bro. I was missing the last 3 months.
Can you give us an Axl Rose impression?
I gotta work up to it.
Matt, let's go down the line with an Axl Rose.
No.
See what I mean?
I could probably do Fat Axl Rose as he was a couple of years ago, but I don't think I'm very good at an Axl Rose impression.
What's your my friend Brian is a Guns N' Roses fanatic. He always argues with me that Axl Rose is the best, and he loves. It's not just he's not short-sighted. He loves thousands of bands. His vinyl collection's insane, and he always buys like the most expensive box set of whatever Duran Duran or Depeche Mode but Guns N' Roses or Faith No More. But Guns N' Roses is like his favorite all-time Axl Rose, and he's like nobody can touch Axl Rose, and I'm like. All right, sure. I'm just like, okay.
No, I mean he's up there, but I couldn't say he was necessarily the best. But, I mean, I've seen him live a couple times.
Did you see?
And nowadays he's behaving. These days they start right at 8:30 and they play for 2.5 hours straight, and none of the drama anymore.
He's mellowed out in his old age.
Well, it's weird. When they first came out, he was a little, little chubby, maybe 20 pounds overweight. But
Yeah.
it's been like 3 years. You think he would hit Atkins or something by now? I mean, he's on stage every other night, running
He's
around for
probably
3 hours.
He's kicking. He's knocking them back. That'll keep the weight on you. He just keeps knocking them back.
Yeah.
So,
still running around for 2.5 hours every night. I mean, it's hot up there.
Yeah, but I wonder what he looks like after the curtain closes.
Yeah, I mean, he
Probably
sounds
looks
better
like
than
the Undertaker.
He sounds better than Vince Neil, at least, and probably a cheaper ticket, or at least a more for your money ticket. I heard Guns N' Roses is still a hell of a show, to where Motley Crue, who knows, and the insanity of all those shows being canceled. This summer was going to be like the biggest concert summer of the it's the new decade, but shit, of the 2000s. I thought, like, it was insane. You had Guns N' Roses, you had The Cure was talking about touring over here in the US, and there was just all kinds of Nine Inch Nails. There was all kinds of things on the horizon, and now who knows? I mean, this all seems small in the grand scheme of things, but if you think about, people live for that. I live to go to shows. Like, I saw Tool. I just recently saw Tool. But once again, where's my expendable income's gone? So,
yeah.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah.
Who's saying how's the family, bro?
That's Mark.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we'll try to figure out the way to see the Facebook users come up with your actual names by Saturday. And we were talking about that, off air when we were recording over the last couple of weeks. It's Monster Mania canceled their March show, Chiller canceled their April show. I was supposed to meet Arnold Schwarzenegger a month ago, and that weekend was the first weekend that shows started to cancel, and that was when I was like, oh, this is serious. And they weren't like quick to say, oh, we moved it 6 months. They didn't even reschedule it yet. And now, all the stuff we like to do is gone, postponed, or not coming back this year. And just little things like, I like to go to the comic book store. I like to go to the secondhand bookstore.
Right.
Can't do that. And, the only saving grace is, besides working, is I get to work around the house. I have to come home every night from work. I don't, I can't go anywhere. I've gone to Lowe's twice a week for the last month. I finally finished the bathroom in my basement. Now I started power washing my front porch tonight because I'm going to take the paint off of that and seal it. And then I'm going to move to the back deck.
I'm sure your wife's happy. She's like, yeah, come on, COVID. Like, because you're getting
stuff. Yeah, no, I got nothing else to do. I come home, I do my DDPY, I practice guitar for a little bit, and I'm working around the house. I got at least it's happening in the winter / springtime where I can still use the excuse of being inside and there's not much to do outside. But if this goes into the summer and you can't go anywhere and you're basically stuck in your backyard, that's gonna start stinging. And if you can't go to the beach, you can't do anything. It's going to be a big adjustment. I think it's really going to start I think people are just going to go out to spite themselves and to spite other people. And I think it's just going to keep the problem, on the forefront rather than making it better.
Which is the worst thing that could happen.
And that's what's going to happen. I've seen firsthand people say, oh, I need to get out. I don't care. And I'm like, well, if you don't care, you're going to be at home longer and you're going to make more of an issue. And I honestly think, shut everything down for 2-3 weeks. Just take the loss now. Yeah,
just chill until we figure out what the hell's going on. Allegedly they're working on a vaccine here in Pittsburgh. Actually, saw in an article.
Yeah, I saw UPMC or something was coming out about that, but I think it said they're months away from human trials.
Yeah, they're not even into human trials yet, so God knows. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's a weird time, and I think that's kind of underlying reason why Eric and I have been doing so many shows. We said, well, everyone's at home, no one's going on vacation. Let's get our interviews in and let's get our stuff done. And it gives people something to do, gives us something to look forward to, and especially doing something like this. I mean, what else we got going on?
absolutely. Bang them out.
Yep.
Yeah.
And especially for you too, we'll get your podcast off the ground and keep us posted as what the latest developments.
We're in the editing stage of the first 2 episodes. So we got 2 episodes in the can. We did a deep dive on, I'll tell you here, we did a deep dive on Joe Bega's movie Bliss. And then we did, which was cool. It's on Shudder. Check it out. And then we did a watch along that, just start the film with us. We did a watch along on The Thing. So we're still working on them. But yeah, we're in the editing process. We're still branding. But those are things we want to have a few in the pipeline when we launch. So, because like I said, we're still getting our feet wet with it. So,
hey,
what are you thinking? Going weekly?
No, I don't think we're going to do it that often. I think maybe we'll do two a month because there's so many podcasts out there, and unless there's demand. But I'm just kind of doing it as a pet project. If something more comes of it, great. But and I don't mind putting over other people's podcasts because I listen to podcasts. So like I said, if you guys come on, plug the shit out of your podcasts or have me on like you are now. I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. I'm all about building a culture,
Yeah. Hey, we should call a couple wrestling matches on your podcast.
We could. Oh my God. We could do commentary. That's a great idea.
Have someone pick a random match, fire up the network, and just call it. It could be anything from NWA to NXT, new, old, or whatever. Just someone picks a random year with a random match or something, and we can just call the shit out of it and just have fun with it.
That sounds okay. You're on. We'll
What's the name of the podcast again?
Signals from Pittsburgh.
Cool. Signals from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, so we're still in the infancy, but you got the world exclusive here for whoever cares. But we're working on logo design. But we do have two recorded and are in the editing process. And I'm still learning. I'm not an on-air personality, I'm an off-air personality, so I'm still finding my feet,
When it comes to the production end, give me a holler. Nobody ever takes me up on this, but if you're looking for a nice free way to host your podcast, I can and get it on iTunes and Spotify and that kind of thing. I can certainly help you out. So.
Totally. I'll put you in contact with my production associate, Brittany. I just give her all these titles because I was like, you do the technical end. I'll decide, not that she doesn't decide. I was like, what do you think of doing this movie or this? She's like, yeah, that all sounds good. But she likes to do the production. So I was like, cool. Oh,
does she come out to Living Dead weekends or any of those?
Yeah, she's new to the scene, but she was there last year and she went to she was like one of the only people that went to every single night of Romero Lives. So she's a diehard Romero fan. So
damn
nice.
Yeah. So yeah, she would. And then, we go to the Garf events when they hold them up here. And then there's my buddy, Dave Hood, he runs a horror trivia every couple months at Industry Pub here. And the first one he had Greg Nicotero there. And then he's had Tom Savini. So he tries to get a guest for each one that he does too. So it's kind of cool. So, and it's legitimate. It's legitimate trivia. It's not like, what's the name of the actor that plays Jigsaw? It's like hard shit. It's like, what year did this movie come out? Who directed it? Who produced it? There are some easy questions thrown in. So, but he does, he caters to the hardcore horror community too, which I appreciate because he's a film buff too. So,
nice.
So yeah. So I heard and you guys probably already touched on this, but the Dawn of the Dead Blu-ray set is now delayed, or
the pre-order was delayed.
Yeah, the pre-order is delayed. So
yeah, it was supposed to be out like 2 weeks ago.
They're going to charge through the roof on this thing, but they need to know what to charge, like how much the books are going to cost, and all the little extras that they're throwing in. Which it's nice, but I don't know. What ballpark? I'll throw it to both of you. What are you expecting this MSRP to look like?
Probably $100.
I was going to say between 80 and 100.
No way, man.
You don't think?
I'm thinking like 99 euro, which is what, 137?
One third. I don't dispute that it could be more. I just think I'm hoping $100. I think I'm saying, well, $100 is reasonable for the new stuff, but it's like this is going to be what our sixth version of Dawn of the Dead. Well, depending on how many, but I'm just saying how many different versions of Dawn of the Dead have we bought already? I mean, I know that comes with being a fan in that territory, and there's
Who
actually
are you talking to?
Exactly. Well, I'm just saying, okay, not us. Exclude you two from that as a normal Dawn of the Dead fan.
Look at that top shelf up there.
Yeah, you don't want to see my shelf.
How many versions? No, how many separate versions, not copies, versions do you own? Official versions. You guys should know this, right?
Well, I mean, how many? There's only 3 actual versions of the movie,
right?
So
of the film, I meant release of actual officially licensed releases. The Blu-ray, there was only ever one in America, right?
And that was the theatrical,
the Anchor Bay. That was the first Blu-ray I ever purchased before I even had a player.
That's it. You bought it before you had a player. That's diehard dedication.
Oh, I had Dawn on Laserdisc for like 12 years before I got a Laserdisc player. So, and I have the Betamax version, but no Betamax.
Same, but I'm still trying to get a Betamax. One of these. Well, I have a couple of Betamax in the garage that don't work.
Yeah.
There's got to be a way to repair this.
You just got to find out what's not working.
Right, exactly. You guys,
what are you working on?
I don't have that one yet. We were just talking about that last week.
I've got that one.
This is the premiere.
That's the best release.
Yeah, I love this. I got this for a song. It was like $30 on the aftermarket, or on the secondary market, which is not. And like the lobby cards is still, or the little poster cards.
Yeah,
I'm going the wrong way. They're still sealed. It's got the poster. Have you seen the Italian version though, Blasi?
Yes, but I don't have it.
Vampire.
Yeah, I actually dug the Italian version with the different score as well. I mean the original. Yeah, the original was my favorite, but
it'd be a lot more watchable. I've always considered going back and splicing in the English dialogue, make it a hell of a lot more watchable.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's interesting. The music really adds a different flavor to it.
Yeah, it does. That's why I really liked the soundtrack or I like the score in the Italian version for some reason, just a lot better. There was I just found, I'll send you guys the link if you haven't seen it, but there's this, it's from a few months ago, I think, but there's a YouTube user, Dark Angel, and he posts his entire collection of, crazy DVDs. He's based in UK, but he actually did a side-by-side comparison of all the Dawn openings. I don't know if you've seen that yet. He took all the Dawn of the Dead openings and broke them down. And there's a real weird one that I've never known. I think it's it's not the Japanese one. I think it was.
Okay. So you mean just the opening credits,
the opening credit with Fran, because a lot of them have the blue filter. Mm-hmm. They do a blue filter freeze, which is weird. But they did one. I think it's a UK home video release where it's actually, and you may own it, but they pause and have a title card that says Dawn of the Dead, but it's the title card from the trailer from Day of the Dead, which I thought was really weird.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, I'll send you the link. It's pretty cool. Well, it's pretty cool to show. It's pretty cool to come on here and talk to Dawn of the Dead experts and teach them something or show them something new. So that's a better.
Well, what you're talking about sounds familiar, but I think it's been a minute since I've seen it, and then probably could have used an update since I recall what you're talking about, but it's been a minute. And like I said, me and Matt, we've probably forgotten more than most people know about Dawn. I was
just gonna say that was your nice way of saying I've forgotten more shit about Dawn of the Dead than you'll ever know.
Well, because does it show like the intros, like the Thorn EMI video, that, or is it just the actual intro of the movie?
No, it's the intro. It's the Fran. It's the shot. It's the shot with
Okay.
Fran. So
All
obviously,
right.
in the international cut, there's the different music, but in different home releases, like I said, in the UK release, I think they said in the initial UK release, there's a title card that reads Dawn of the Dead, but it's somebody spliced in the title card from the Day of the Dead trailer, which I thought was the weirdest thing ever, but it was hilarious.
I don't think I have seen this. This sounds
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not
it's pretty-
familiar with that.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. It's pretty neat. So that shows you can love a movie.
Drop it in the group if you can, if you think about it.
Sure, I can find. Let me see if I can find it. I don't know.
Anyway, that's awesome, man. Well, I'm looking forward to check it. Tell me more messages from Pittsburgh. Signals from Pittsburgh.
Yep.
We'll pip it for
We
you.
froze Will.
Signals from Pittsburgh once every couple times a month. And oh yeah, he is frozen.
Yeah.
Well, I heard some clicks there for a second. I thought he was just trying to locate the video, but no, I love that kind of stuff. I love comparison videos. I remember there was back in the heavy fan edit days, there was a version of like the early Star Wars films that had like the different version, a version on top and a version on. We lost Will. That would be actually pretty damn cool, and somebody ought to do that. A version of, I guess it would just be the extended and Argento. Just have one on top of the other, and you can just see when things go missing. You have the blank screen. Anyway,
Yeah, no, that'd be pretty neat. I haven't seen anything like that, Don. I mean, not that I'm looking for it, but now
No, I mean, like just in general, like the Star Wars or any other.
I just watched one the other night. My son was watching Star Wars stuff on YouTube, and we watched on A New Hope, and they were doing it. Was actually like a 2-part video. It was like 25 minutes going over like all the differences. It was pretty neat to see it side by side because I mean, I don't own the unaltered trilogy on any format, so it's not like I've seen it. Unfortunately, most of my viewings have been, the 97 or 2011, re-edits. So it was kind of neat to go back and be like, oh, I don't even remember watching this, but I remember watching it as a kid. And you don't pick that stuff out when you're a teenager. You don't start looking at that until you don't have it, or you have the ability to go back and watch 2 different versions.
Right. All right. Well, that was awesome bringing Will on. That's we got a nice hour worth of content. Let's get back. So I think we were talking about the episode 12 premiere. I think we pretty much wrapped that up, though. We talked about the content there, and everybody that debuted yesterday, so it'd be April 8th. We have another episode in the can that I just actually wrapped up editing right before we hopped on this live video. And this, like I said, this was mainly just to test out the functionality of this. And again, it's been so long since we mentioned it. Once again, just want to mention there is a live show. We're going to do a live show this April 11th, this Saturday at 5 p.m. So we want everybody to show up. And actually, if you're interested in hopping on the video like Will just did, just send us a message or send me a message or Matt a message, and we'll arrange for you to come on for a bit and rap with us. And we'd love to have you on. Again, this Saturday, April 11th at 5 p.m. Okay. So yeah, episode 13 just finished editing, and we actually have a pretty big interview that Matt actually secured for us, and a really clutch interview. I'm gonna let Matt take it away. Why don't you talk about who we've got for episode 13?
So for episode 13, again, WGON, we like to touch on the stories and the people that you don't always hear about. So we were talking off air, and I said, hey, why don't we, let's cover this range of movies from the late 80s to the 90s. And, we were looking, I said, well, who could we talk to? And I said, hey, how about Everett Burrell? because Everett is a big poster in the One Night of the Living Dead 1990 fan group, and he had done a big dump of photos from his private collection that he had found in a shoebox. And I reached out to Everett. Actually, it kind of coincided. A friend of mine had talked to Everett and had mentioned the potential of coming on the podcast. So when I reached out to Everett, he remembered talking to my friend Taylor, and he was very gung-ho from the start. And we got Everett on the phone for probably almost 90 minutes. I think the interview kind of clocked in just under 90 minutes. So coming up in episode 13, you're going to hear Everett Burrell talk about doing special effects for Monkey Shines, Dark Half, Night of the Living Dead 1990, a lot of good tidbits, Two Evil Eyes, stories that, you might know, and a lot that I didn't even know and Eric didn't know as well. And, we kind of give Everett the floor, and he really goes in depth on a lot of stuff, and, super awesome guy. It was very cool to talk to him. Especially about that little run of work that he did with George, starting with Day and going all the way through to Dark Half. And yeah, I think you guys are gonna be surprised by what you hear. And I hope to have Everett back on. We even mentioned to him there was a lot of stuff we didn't get it to cover, and a lot of stuff came up that I think we kind of went around back with a little bit. So we're gonna look to maybe have Everett on at a later show sometime this year. But yeah, I think you guys will like it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And he did leave that door open for us. So, you never know how these interviews are going to go. So you always keep the initial questions kind of broad-based and generic. Just want to make sure you get your coverage. And us being a Romero-centric podcast, we front-loaded everything with Romero-related projects. And then we're able to ask about a few things on the back end, but without us even asking about it, he left the door open for a future interview. And so that's going to be, I can already tell you, we're going to hit him up again because, between Day, Two Evil Eyes, Monkey Shines, Night of the Living Dead, Dark Half, Matt says it all the time. I'll say it this time that those are the films that really don't get a lot of attention, and probably have the most information out there to discover. So it'll be nice to have him as a resource. So he'll be our kind of our second half of Romero career, Dubinsky, if you will.
Friend of the show, Tom Dubinsky, everybody.
But the interview went really well, and I was very pleased with it, listening back to it tonight. And yeah, we could certainly dig deeper at a later date, and I hope we could do that, as well as Tom Dubinsky as well. We keep talking about it. We need to just go ahead, just go ahead and get it on the books. And if anybody out there is watching right now has any questions for Tom Dubinsky, please let us know.
Yeah, one thing we say in episode 12, if you guys haven't listened to it yet, but shoot us an email, WGONradio@gmail.com. If you guys have questions you want us to read on air, suggestions for guests or topics, or anything that you want us to talk about, let us know. We're kind of open and kind of fluid with some of the topics. Outside of the interviews and the Dawn of the Dead Minute, we try to be kind of open with kind of whatever falls in our lap. And some episodes are going to be just interviews. Probably episode 13, I think, will just be the entire interview because it spans almost 90 minutes. And there'll be episodes without interviews. And there'll be times where, depending, the Dawn of the Dead Minute might take up the entire episode where we have other topics to cover. So anything you guys have and suggestions that you want us to talk about, there's always topics that Eric and I want to get into, the memorabilia stuff. We'll talk about, any of the conventions that are coming up, or any news regarding any, Romero alumni that comes up that we can share, just to keep everybody informed and kind of help everybody support their work and their endeavors. So let us know what you guys think.
If anybody's got any neat collectibles and wants to come on, this would be a perfect venue for that. We'd love to see what you got. And maybe that's something me and you could maybe, got a couple items on for this April 11th show. Maybe talk, if it's, as long as it's reasonably sized, we can hold it in front of the camera. But
yeah, I'll broadcast from the Romero section of my my den. It's actually over my left shoulder. There's a small inlet of a room back there that houses all of my Romero stuff. So maybe I'll broadcast from there. So everything is pretty much within arm's reach that I'll be able to grab if we decide to talk about something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, we're not real sure what the format's going to be for the Saturday show, but yeah, that open forum, and if you guys have anything you want to discuss, by all means, we'll give you the floor. And heck, if we know you well enough, we'll bring you on the damn video.
Yeah, I have wood. Actually, that's where I'll be broadcasting in front of. Mm-hmm. I have a little setup back there. So yeah, no. So Saturday should be pretty good. We'll have some topics that we'll kind of cover, but again, kind of loose format. Wrap a little bit earlier in the day, so we're a little bit fresher, and it's not so late at night. And try to get some of the UK folks on. I know a friend of the show, Norman England, will just be waking up again in Japan. So maybe if he rolls out of bed, we'll get him to come on or something. Just to see what we got. Like we said, we're gonna try this.
Exactly.
Every once in a while. Whether it's once a month or every so many weeks, just to have a place to come and hang out. Especially while we're while we're quarantined.
Yeah, and then we found this. Go ahead and pimp StreamYard a little bit. Matt found this with dealing with some other folks on an interview, and I'm psyched. I mean, the interface here, it's super simple. Even just if we could just have if we have the images of the people in there and their names, that would be a riot to be dropping these comments on screen. But
yeah, we'll have to figure a way to, because like when I was on Cameron's podcast event, when I was hosting my forum, I could look over and I could see everybody chatting with their name, so I knew who it was. So I know there's a way to do it. Again,
we'll get it figured out.
We're getting there. We'll have a way to make this fun, and you guys can obviously see who's saying what. What I wonder. Oh no. I was like, oh, they're commenting on Facebook. They were doing that the other night, but again, yeah, this is a pretty neat little plug-in. I think anyone that watches this, I think this has to be used with Chrome for them to use it on their desktop. Now I know Will logged in on his phone, so that should be fine. So but if you're watching from your desktop, I think Chrome, according to StreamYard, is the preferred browser.
Okay.
For them at this point. But again, we got a couple of days. We'll go back through and read some of the fine print and see what we can figure it out.
Who is saying this?
That's Will. If it lasts for more than 4 hours, you should see a doctor. So I highly suggest you go see your primary care physician and tell him that I gave you wood 2 years ago and you still have it.
Well, all right. Well, I will. I'll go ahead and vote this entire session as a success. We brought on a third user. There's been no major hiccups. We've got these cool banners and such going on. I mean, I love it. And I tell you what, I'll probably go ahead and drop this as just a little side app. Go ahead and make it available on the. Put it on the YouTube as well.
Yeah, why not? I mean, call these, op-eds or whatever you want to call them. These are just nice little things for people to come up with, stumble upon, and just have, you got an hour, hang out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this will be WGON Traffic Report for April 9th. So cool, man. God, I can't believe we got an hour 20. I thought we were going to do like 7 or 8 minutes. And
well, Will comes on, and when you start talking wrestling, you mark out a little bit. And, you get sidetracked talking about wrestling, but that's okay. And that'll be fun to do on his show, Signals from Pittsburgh.
Yes.
I'm excited. I just thought of that, calling a a show on the fly, and oh my god, oh, there's Eric. I was like, oh my god, I lost Eric. Who am I talking to right now? Yes, we're still having fun learning this little bit of technology. And I wonder, you're doing that. I wonder if you could put a banner or something like in that black portion, right? Right up there.
Well, we'll get it. Yeah, we'll get it figured out.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you guys wrapped up the wrestling talk just before I threw a banner up there saying wrap up the WWE horse shit or something. or wrap up the WWE horse shit, question mark?
Yeah.
No, this who's saying widescreen? Welfie over there?
I think that's Will.
Welfley.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll figure out a way for when you guys come on to figure out how to get your names to show up so everyone knows who the hell they're talking to.
Yeah, I mean, if we had Will's face there with that'd be brilliant. All right, guys. Well, appreciate you guys tuning in, and we are definitely going to try and do more of these and have more of a format. This was really just to test out the technology, and you can see we've gone an hour and 20 minutes. That's almost the length of one of our usual podcasts. So I think the experiment has gone well.
I think so. It was fun.
All right, guys. Yep. We'll see you Saturday at 5:00 Eastern time.
All right, guys. See you then.